the thing about China is it's so remote. It's a different civilization. So even though people today in the United States have started to see through all the bullshit put out about mainstream media, especially on the domestic agendas, because people are more familiar with U.S. domestic context, political context, and even about Latin America, because Latin America is closer to the United States, of people and closer cultural context. A lot of people speak Spanish, and people will understand. U.S. have been spreading lies about Cuba, about Venezuela, but when it comes to China, people in the United States just swallow all the State Department propaganda, hook, line, and sinker. Because, one is because they really don't have any context. All the information they receive from China is either mainstream media or all these news YouTubers who are probably sponsored by NED groups or Falun Gong, or they get their news from Falun Gong cults, right? Like, China Uncensored is one of the biggest YouTube channel that's operated by Falun Gong, right? It's Falun Gong, for people who don't know, is the same cult that promotes the Sen Yun dance performance called the communism before China before communism. They have Sen Yun posters all over the United States.
The ballet. Yeah. I almost went just for fun, but it was I took so many pictures of those posters. I was like, what? This.
Yeah,
I was like, we have to go.
So I always wonder, right? How do these people have so much money? Because even among the Chinese diaspora, they're such a fringe group. So I always wonder how they get so much money to have like a multi-million-dollar media empire and have pay for all these advertisement and send all these free Falun Gong. The Epic Times. Now Epic Times is blowing up in the United States too. Yeah. So, and how did they have money to fund all this? And my friend Yasha Levine actually filed a Freedom of Information Act several years ago. I think it was back in 2018 when he was writing his book, like Surveillance Valley, the military origin of the internet. And it turns out Falun Gong's media empire is funded by U.S. government. Surprise, surprise.
It was Israel, but really, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. It was founded back then. It was called BGG, Board Broadcasting Governor or something. But now it got a rename. Now it's called the U.S. Agency for Global Media. And guess what other channels the U.S. Agency for Global Media funds? It funds Voice America. It funds Radio Free Asia, Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Liberty, and yes. So this is a freaking CIA cutout, right? It funds all these freaking CIA cutout because but again, people in the United States, because there's so little just even objective news about China in the United States.
Yeah,
the information and all the info channels about China is heavily polluted, right? And that's why I highly encourage people just to travel to China.
I know so many people that go frequently, and I know people that have moved there from the United States, and everybody says the same thing. They either can't wait to go back or they don't leave. My good friend Mike is in he's in Shanghai, and he's like, I'm never coming back to America. He's half African American. He's like, I'm never coming back. This is the future. He is so happy. Everybody I talk to, even the Chinese citizens, and of course the CPC bot, whatever. But even they, all of the time, they love it. And I know people all over the country. I'm really glad you brought up the fact that the Uyghurs become a very serious topic of discussion every time something happens in Palestine, because we start to see, especially we mentioned Syria and Iran, we've seen China really build up nice, solid relations with Syria and Iran, especially over this summer. With my dog is just a little out of control, but especially Syria with Assad visiting with his wife, and China negotiating that peace between Saudi and Iran. Now we're seeing Iran and Pakistan work together, which to me seems like it's definitely in China's best interest for Iran and Pakistan to work together. And then the Uyghur sort of rhetoric really amps up to start discrediting journalists. Danny Haifong, myself, Samira Khan, you, Jackson Hinkle are all now kind of targeted as these genocide deniers. And I'm like, what genocide are we denying? Because
yes, I am a genocide denier because there's no genocide in Xinjiang. I mean, come on. But like the thing is, a lot of these people crying for supposedly for Uyghur genocide are the same people who will deny that there's genocide taking place in Palestine. I mean, like this is, I mean, I don't know how people could miss this. There's a lot of these same people, you know, like several tweets down the line, there will be like, oh, Israel is doing a good job. Like,
exactly.
Like
exactly. And sometimes it's people that are very pro-Palestine that are doing it. And I'm like, well, you already know that they won't call Gaza a genocide, even though we know that that's a genocide. But they are very ready to call the Xinjiang a genocide without any sort of visual proof. Understand why things are accepted as genocides and why things aren't. Like genocide is really just a propaganda term at this point, utilized
you have right now. We just recently had a TV clip from the ITV. I give them prop for that. They actually caught on camera Israeli sniper shooting a Palestinian civilian holding a white flag on the open street. Right? We have so much. You know we have so much footage of Israeli atrocities committed in Gaza. Yet, where's the video footage of Chinese People's Liberation Army bombing buildings in Xinjiang? Right? Where do you see like the refugee camp says around China's borders, around Xinjiang borders? Right? I mean, like where again? People should just travel to China. Like Xinjiang is not even a restricted region. Anybody who has a valid visa to China can travel to Xinjiang. It's open to visit for anybody has a visa to China. And right now, China is actually losing. They're trying to open up a visa restrictions for a lot of the countries. They have what's it called, the 144-hour transit visa, which means I think for a lot of the major Chinese cities, you can go there for a week without visa. You know, you can now go spend a week in Shanghai without visa, as long as you have you show like a round trip ticket, you have a return ticket, you are leaving at the end of the 6 days, then you can go there without visa. I mean, that's super. And China already have unilaterally given a free visa to citizens from France, Germany, Italy, there's Malaysia, Singapore, and I'm hoping Indonesia, because my wife is Indonesian, and I already have 10-year multiple entry visa for China, so I'm hoping they extend to Indonesia so I can just bring my wife and my family to visit. But I highly urge people just visit China, because seeing is believing. You know, no matter what I say here, people will see my face and say, "Oh, Carl is a CCP propagandist, or he's a shell for the Chinese government." You know, don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Just go to China and see for yourself, and you know, let your eyes deceive you. Don't listen to my words. Because I know, like, right now it gotten so bad, you know, just like because for a lot of the Americans, I'm wearing the face of the enemy, right? So it doesn't matter what I say; it's all like propaganda to them. But just go visit China. Just go visit China. You will dispel a lot of your misconceptions, a lot of your prejudices, and actually open your eyes to new possibilities.
I usually, when they call me a CCP bot, I correct them to CPC, and then I say thank you, because if I'm doing this on a volunteer basis, and I must be doing a very great, amazing job. So
having said that, you know, if President Xi Jinping, if you're watching this, I am not opposed to taking Xi bucks. Please just deposit to my bank account.
Yes.
I could make some. I could use some money.
I'll even take a travel visa. I'm very cheap date. Just get me a plane ticket and a travel visa. Xi, I'm very happy to go anywhere in China, even in the snow. We love the snow at DDG. Just send us anywhere. We're ready. You need us to be a talking head for Russia or China. We are available. We're already doing it for free. Just give us the plane ticket and some food. We're happy. So I do want to talk about how the genocide, I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's not even right to call it a genocide, conflict, something happening in Gaza and Israel. What is the overall kind of policy of China towards this sort of thing? I know they're very pragmatic and they're very quiet, and they kind of have to watch themselves and how they vote in sort of UN votes, because they don't want to validate or anything like that, like the ICJ and all of that. So they're being very pragmatic, like China is. I like to say about China, their policy is do nothing and win, because China kind of just sits back while everybody else is like messing up. But I do want to know what China's stance is and their relationship is.
So China's official stance has always been very consistent, is to support a Palestinian state. And China actually used to be very proactive. During the Mao's era, China would send weapons to Palestinian resistance group, and they would invite Palestinian fighters to China to train. And you can Google on internet, you will see, like, back in the 60s, 70s, a Palestinian resistance fighter holding the little Mao book. Because back then Mao believed in the world revolution. He believed in founding the various national liberation movement all across the world. That changed. So when I grew up, I was full disclosure, I was born in China in 1976 just after Mao died, and I spent the entire decade of 80s growing up in China. So when I lived in China, China didn't recognize Israel. China only recognized Palestine, and China had the Palestinian PLO office in Beijing. And growing up, I would watch on TV like Arafat visits to China all the time, and that policy only changed in 1992. So there's several factors. One, after 1989, the student protests in Yemen, China faced diplomatic isolation by the West, and so China was trying to break through its diplomatic isolation. Before when I lived in China, China didn't have diplomatic relationship with Israel. China didn't have diplomatic relationship with Saudi Arabia. China did not have diplomatic relationship with apartheid South Africa, but after Cold War ended, things happened. Apartheid ended in South Africa, so China established relationship with South Africa. China started branching out, China established relationship with Saudi Arabia in early 1990s. And China established relationship with Singapore, with Indonesia, all these formerly anti-communist countries, and then 1992 is also when the Oslo Accord was signed between Palestinian Authority and Israel, and then only after that China recognized Israel. Like, China can't be more pro-Palestine than Palestinians, right? If Palestine was ready to sit down to discuss two-state solution with Israel, then China is obviously not gonna be opposing that. So it's only after the Oslo Accord, 1992, China finally recognized the state of Israel. And for a while, China tried to develop a relationship with Israel. You said China's diplomacy is pragmatic. It is. China had an excellent relationship with in the Middle East with Iran, with Saudi Arabia, with Israel at the same time, until recently. And so because China's diplomacy is always like, we're not going to tell you what to do. We respect sovereignty. Your business is your business. Let's just all get together and do business. But at the same time, China has always reiterated its support for the Palestinian statehood. Like when Xi Jinping went to the Arab League, when he, I think this was a few years back, and when he reiterated that China's support for Palestinian state, a lot of people are shocked. And I was like, why would you be shocked? He didn't actually change China's official policy. The support for Palestinian state has been official Chinese policy from the very beginning. Nothing has changed. Only thing that changed was China's recognition of Israel in 1992. That together also, at the time, I say it's part of China's trying to break out of diplomatic isolation. Also around 1992, I think it was when China finally established relationship with South Korea. So before, when I lived in China in 1980s, China didn't recognize South Korea, China didn't recognize Saudi Arabia, China didn't recognize Israel, China didn't recognize apartheid South Africa. Things. So in the post 90s, I think. Yeah, post 90s, China's foreign policy is very pragmatic. It's basically, let's just do business. Well, your business is your business. But China always supported Palestine, and this has been reaffirmed by the Palestinian by the Palestinian Authority statement on China's support, and so. At this particular juncture, people will point to, but China is doing, why is China investing Haifa port in Israel and blah blah blah. That has always, China's policy has always been doing business with officially UN recognized countries, and if this ties into Yemen. People will ask why China is not recognizing Ansar Allah government in Yemen, because this one reason is because China only recognizes the countries as recognized by UN. So for reasons we all know, it's a solidly supported government in southern Yemen that's been recognized as the official government of Yemen. So that's a reason China is not officially recognizing Ansar Allah. But that might change. That might change.
Talk about that a little bit. Do they have any relations with Ansar Allah or the Yemeni armed forces? Because what we see, and I think we have a nice little collage, is that the no more Houthis, guys. Stop saying Houthis. Ansar Allah has blocked Bab el-Mandeb, but look at this. They just have to say all the crew is Chinese crew, Chinese ship. So what is the relations with? I know that their policy is not to allow anybody that's supporting Israel or directly doing business with Israel. But is there any other relation between China and the Yemeni armed forces, like with Iran? They're supplying them arms.
See, that's a good. So at first, now I'm gonna add maybe it sounds like I'm backtracking. I said China only do business with UN recognized countries, but that might be changing. One example is Afghanistan, right? Because post-American withdrawal, the Taliban controlled Afghan government is still didn't gain wide international recognition. I think only a couple countries like Saudi Arabia or UAE or something recognize Taliban as a legitimate government of Afghanistan. But China right now is investing in Afghanistan. China is sending official aid to Afghanistan. China has a lot of contact with the Taliban government right now. The one interest is having Taliban to keep a lid on the remaining Uyghur fighters of the Turkestan Islamic Party that's still on the Afghan soil. That's one of China's primary concern. But also China just want to see a stable neighborhood. And so the fact that China and Taliban right now have a working relationship, because you've seen the Taliban representative in Beijing in talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. So let me take back what I said about China not only doing business with UN recognized country. So it's interesting what's evolved. China's foreign policy is always evolving, right? So and what happened in Yemen is interesting because COSCO, the Chinese shipping giant, they announced they suspended all shipping to Israel. And the Houthi blockade of Red Sea is not a blockade against all shipping. They specifically said is to blockade shipping to Israel. So China stopped shipping to Israel. So Chinese ship have no problem go through Red Sea. I mean, it's simple. It's simple. You know, all you have to do to go through Red Sea is to say, we are not going to Israel, right? I mean, like United States, of course, U.S. can't do that, but China can. And China do have good relationship with Iran, which some in Washington say is the main sponsor of Ansar Allah in Yemen. So, I mean, but which means China do have a back channel to talk to the Yemeni forces.
Right.
And so I mean, so there's and I would not be surprised if there's some, you know, like they have to work out some protocol. Like, okay, so they're like, okay, Chinese, you can go through.
It's China. It looks like it's China and Russia.
Did you see that the Financial Times article that said United States right now is asking China for help to stop the Yemeni attack on Red Sea? It's like, why? China is helping by showing you an example to move forward. China is helping by saying we're going to stop shipping to Israel, and that allow us to ship through Red Sea. So you just have to follow China's example. You know, don't ship to Israel, no problem.
So China already is helping. They don't even need to ask. I loved that headline. I put it on Twitter so fast, and I was like, China, please help us. And China's just like, no.
And this is United States do the same kind of shit, you know, with like this Russian sanction. They're like, China, why won't you please sanction Russia? Like, what, you think the Chinese are stupid? You already declared China as the #1 enemy, and it's so obvious after you finish off Russia, China is gonna next. So wait, you're asking us to help you finish with Russia, to finish with Yemen, so you can concentrate on China? You think we're stupid? I mean, like, U.S. government is run by a bunch of jokers and a bunch of idiots, and but the problem is they expect everybody else to be idiots too. That's why the U.S. empire is struggling right now. We just don't have good human resources.